Hi, Andy here. Welcome to another intro to this next video. Now this one's, I was looking forward to doing this one. It's a sit down chat with a young man, young to me, named Alex. His name's Alex Glasse. And I first saw Alex on a podcast, on whose podcast was it? Orange Pilled, a guy called Lee Meakin. And yeah, I saw him sit down with Lee, and I thought, oh wow, an interesting young man. I'd like to know a little bit more about his backstory. So I reached out to him on Twitter, I believe, X, what it's called now. And yeah, we had a bit of a chat, and yeah, he came on, and we had a really nice chat. It was really interesting. You know what I'm all about trying to find out more from the younger people, or what they think about bits and pieces, and this one was really directed at his enthusiasm for Bitcoin. So I wanted to know, you know, how did he get into that? What was his journey like? So yeah, we sat down, recorded it, had a nice laid-back chat. Really looked forward to it, and yeah, it didn't disappoint me at all. In fact, I'm kind of hoping we might be able to do a little bit more going forward. So sit back, enjoy, take care of yourselves. See you soon. Cheers, bye.
Oh,
So, Alex, thank you very much for coming on.
thanks
So,
for having me.
absolute pleasure. Now, I haven't known you for more than probably half an hour. I spoke to you very briefly earlier on today, and now we're talking. Um, I've obviously done an intro, so I'm going to just get stuck into it. Dude, first question is, how did, you're obviously into your Bitcoin, how did you, a young man that's been in finance, I believe, or an interest, had an interest in finance for probably the last 10 years, how did you end up going on this? I'm really intrigued to know your story from when that started roughly 10 years ago to now, or you know, your latest videos. You've gone all in on Bitcoin. What was that journey like for you? How did it start, and what was going on?
Yeah, so I started investing when I was 17,
Okay.
and it was mainly, I think I showed a little bit of interest, but my dad, I can give him credit for this. He got me into it, and yeah, he taught me what he knew at the time, and I wasn't really like he'd try and sit down with me and teach me the stuff that he thought would be useful.
Yeah.
Didn't find it particularly interesting, and I was
No.
just honestly like falling asleep at the time. But then
Yeah.
that is obviously a good foundation because you have to kind of come to everything on your own. I find it's like finding Bitcoin. It's like learning about money. You
Yeah.
can tell people what the problem is and why they need it, but you kind of have to come to it yourself. And so that was kind of the same for me. So I got set up, put invested basically all of my savings
Okay.
because we went through everything. We were like, yeah, okay, so there's pretty much no point in keeping money in a savings account. So this was 10-ish years ago.
Wow.
Um, and I kind of understood that much. I was like, yeah, okay, I want to invest and I want to make this money turn into something more. Invested everything, kind of followed it for a bit, tracked it, then kind of fell asleep on it. And
As you do.
yeah, so it was probably then I finished school, went on a gap year, went to uni, and for those 4 5 years, I didn't really pay much attention to it.
Okay.
It was just slowly building in the process, and I think I was outperforming the S&P 500 doing nothing. So it's like,
Okay.
yeah, not bad.
Okay. So,
Looking back, um,
was you sorry? Was you did you was you earning a little bit of money
no,
at that? Ah, right. So you just had a little
no,
bit of money, you just invested it, and
yeah, it's all the money I'd saved while I was at school, and
yeah,
then I basically just lived out of an overdraft while I was at uni and
as you
didn't
do.
didn't contribute anything to society. It was all a bit depressing, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was quite glad to be finished uni.
Okay.
I feel like you're actually contributing, earning money, feel a bit better about everything. And then at that point, I I picked a course when I was at uni that was nothing particularly of any interest to me. It was sort of, I applied for 5 different courses, got offers for them all, and then just picked one out of a hat.
All right.
Really stupid, but I actually picked the course based on, so they were all different unis, and the one I picked was based on the fact that it had a good ski club.
Okay.
And so that was the course I ended up doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned lot of lessons, so
Yeah, I'm sure.
probably the hard way.
Yeah, as we do.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, did that. I've lost my train of thought.
That's okay. So,
Um,
between like 17 and that will take you what to 18, 19, I presume.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Was you managed to save any money, or did you still have what sort of investment did you have as a setup? Don't enter too much detail, obviously, but
Yeah. So a few £1,000s when I finished uni,
yeah,
and debt on an overdraft. So I got a job
yeah,
doing what I studied for, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm not really interested in this particularly, but I'll give it a go. Got the degree, may as well get the job, give it a go, and start earning some money, start saving. And probably 6 months into that, I was just like, yes, this really isn't for me. But I didn't know what to go into. And I didn't know how to get into anything else.
yeah.
So obviously, I then started getting more interested in investing, and getting into finance isn't particularly easy.
No,
And I never did maths. I never did economics. I never did anything like that. I've always been on the more creative side of things. So like I did, yeah, everything I studied for up until that point has been all creative, art based. And so
yeah,
it's very difficult to change direction and
yeah,
go into the city or something like that. And so I figured I would just push. I would start a YouTube channel and start trying to make financial based content for basically people like myself who
okay,
aren't the aren't super in tune with economics
yeah,
and don't know a huge amount about everything and don't necessarily understand all the complicated jargon that you get with
sure,
finance. So that's what I was trying to achieve. Built that up a little bit and was investing at the same time. So I was trying to learning myself, then trying to share that effectively. And then wind forward 4 or 5 years.
okay.
So 2 years ago from now, pretty much, I found Bitcoin basically.
2022,
It's 2022.
2022.
Learned about it properly the January after FTX collapsed. So maybe that's 2023.
Yes. No.
Okay. It collapsed in
Oh, yes, it
November.
was 2023. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
22.
So
Yeah, FTX went down 22. So that was roughly the bottom of that bear market. Was it the back
yeah,
end of that year?
I mean, I naively invested some money, like 5% of my portfolio, like my
Yeah,
stocks portfolio, into it as a gamble because I didn't understand it. Bought that and Ethereum, lost it all due to ties to FTX,
yeah,
and then just learned about it properly.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 months
Okay.
from 2 months after that.
So, sorry, just to jump in. So, obviously, from 17 to January 23, you'd had a little dabble in Bitcoin the year before. Yeah,
Yeah,
just as a bit of a gamble thing. So, the fight, the investing. Did you do any much investing in between that time, in between 17 and January 23? Really?
yeah. So probably straight after I finished uni, I was
Okay.
going pretty ham on it. Like I was mainly buying investment trusts.
Okay.
So thing one of my biggest positions was in Scottish mortgage investment trusts back in
Right.
the day,
Okay.
and that had they were one of the biggest investors in Tesla,
Hmm.
and so things like that. So it's like you're getting exposure to all these winners basically, but trying to
Yeah.
invest in someone who supposedly can do better than you can
Yeah.
buying individual stocks. That
Hmm.
was my logic. And at the same time, I was like learning to trade and stuff as well. So trying to
Okay.
swing trading and all
All
that sort
right.
of stuff. Because that stuff's all over the
How did
internet.
that all go?
Day trading didn't go very well.
Okay.
That was a bit too,
There's more
a
to
bit,
it than meets the eye, isn't there?
yeah, yeah. Day trading was too much for me. It was, yeah, because it was just too much of a short time period. It was like, oh no, every time it goes wrong, you just panic. And
Yeah.
but swing trading was okay.
Okay.
But I mean, in hindsight, I didn't really. I was betting on things that I didn't
Sure.
really understand. Like, I mean, I kind of feel that about trading now. It's like, how can you really know all the ins and outs of these companies and make an informed decision? You're
Yeah.
basically just trading on chart data, which
Yeah.
is what I was doing, and
Yeah.
yeah, didn't lose money. So
Good. That's good. But it's such a learning experience. It's ridiculous, and I can see why people give up after a little while. Because, like anything in life, I call it the apprenticeship. You've got to do an
yeah,
apprenticeship in anything, whatever
yeah,
you get involved in. If you're not prepared to put that time and effort, as you know, into a subject matter, and and go. Unfortunately, you have to learn a lot. And part of
oh
that
yeah,
learning curve is making mistakes, obviously. And when it comes to money, that can be a little bit hurtful and very emotional.
yeah.
So getting back to that like little time period before you sort of really started to look into Bitcoin, had you, other than trying out day trading, swing trading,
Hmm.
gambling as you call it, in a way I get that. Did you actually have spend much time actually learning about money and finance, or was it just
That's the crazy thing. I didn't understand money. I
yeah,
don't think. Like learning about Bitcoin was the thing that made me learn about money.
yeah,
And I was investing and looking for pound denominated profits.
yeah,
And like looking back, it's like you just want to scream at your past self, like you weren't making any money in reality,
yeah,
or maybe you were a little bit, but
yeah,
yeah. And looking back as well, it's like all the time you spend trying to trade, trying to pick investments.
sure,
When you find Bitcoin, to me, it's like what a waste of time because if we have proper money like Bitcoin, you don't need to speculate on things. You just put your money in that thing that holds its value
yeah,
and you can focus your mind on anything else that's
yeah,
more productive.
yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of crazy thinking about it.
I still, I'm pretty similar to you. I'm 3 years down the line. First cycle really got in when on the bear market of 22, so the year before you, at the early part of that year. But I'll tell you a little bit more about it later because it's about you really. But it's interesting that, isn't it? Because we almost we're just chasing the pound note in this
Yeah.
country. Obviously in the UK, we're just chasing and we're trying to just, oh, I want another pound note or want another pound note. And it's literally going into a betting shop from my point of view. If you don't know what you're doing or thinking about, you're just taking a stab. And I think a lot of people do that. And a lot of people have been put off by actually learning about what's going on.
Yeah.
Purely one, they can't be bothered. Two, well, can't be asked. Two, they haven't got the time. Or three, they're just simply not ready to. Quite possibly. So that brings me on to why was you ready, or what was your emotional thing when you saw what happened to FTX? Was you in BlockFire?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what was that emotionally? Because obviously you thought, oh yeah, this is a trendy thing going on. FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried was the golden child of crypto at the
Yeah.
time. Mr. God couldn't do anything wrong, and then the world fell down.
Yeah. I mean, I knew so little about it. I didn't even
Sure.
know who he was at the time
Yeah.
when I'd invested in BlockFi and whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to be honest, I wasn't actually that like distraught or anything
Yeah.
because I think, well, that I might have my memory wrong, but I have a feeling that happened and then the stock market took a turn afterwards. but that might be wrong. But I was like, well, my speculation's gone wrong.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
kind of knew that could have happened. But yeah, I was obviously a bit annoyed. I'm
Yeah.
still in the lawsuit at the moment, but
Yeah.
for non-US customers, there is no reimbursement yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, you have to move on, then you, I suppose. But
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, finding Bitcoin makes it all irrelevant, really.
sure. So
Um,
that was the latter part. Well, almost like the latter part of summer, wasn't it? At 22.
yeah, it went down in November, early
Oh, was
November.
it? Okay. So then what did you do? Did you say, oh, sod it, give up? What am I doing?
A little bit, yeah. I had about a month
Okay.
of that,
Okay, cool.
but I think that's kind of normal.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, I've been saving all this money because
sure.
I've always been such a saver.
Yeah,
I kind of get a bit of a kick out of saving, which is maybe a good thing or a bad thing, but I've kind of sacrificed social life and
sure.
going out and doing fun things a little bit just because I thought I was getting somewhere with saving and investing.
Yeah,
And then that happened. I was like, oh. So I think like the next week I bought a new guitar and was like, screw this.
fair enough.
And then,
Bit of therapy.
yeah, exactly. I was like, well, what's the point in saving all of this to then
Okay.
just get the rug pulled from out of you? And so, yeah, tried to just change the balance a little bit,
Yeah.
live a good quality of life and also save. And then after that, gradually, yeah, I think I went into this a little bit on Lee's podcast. So I bought a house in 2021 with a Help to Buy loan, and which is where the government give you 20% of the value of the house interest free for 5 years. And it sounds great. But that the value of what you have to pay back moves with the value of the property.
Okay.
So the house goes up 10%, I have to pay 10% more on what I
Sure.
borrowed.
Yeah.
And I don't think most people knew that when they got it.
Okay.
I did know that. But yes, so that happened. Houses were carrying on going up. And I took that loan so that I could keep my stock market portfolio.
Okay.
Because it was like the logic was I can either buy this house or I can buy a smaller house and keep my stock market portfolio, or I can sell my stock market portfolio, get the bigger house, and go all in on the house without taking the Help to Buy loan, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah. Does.
So I thought I'll take the interest free loan,
Yeah.
I'll do well on the stock market, and oh yeah, in 5 years I'll double my money, of course, and pay it back, no worries. And then that didn't happen.
No.
The stock market tanked, and I was just, yeah, went from having the money that I could have literally just
Sure.
paid off that debt to then not having it.
Yeah.
So I had to try and find a way to make that money back.
Okay.
And so eventually led me to Bitcoin. And yeah, then I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole effectively. So that was about 2 years ago.
In January 23. Now, when did you obviously you've been involved with Bitcoin the year before, which turned out to be a disappointment, I presume, indirectly. Then what was it that motivated you to go, okay, in January 23, I want to get back in, but I want to learn something about it. What was the light bulb? Can you remember?
I honestly can't remember,
Okay, cool.
but I, before it collapsed, I was spouting all of this stuff I didn't really understand to my dad, because I was like, you should get a little bit, just have a little bit, have 5% and speculate. Like Bitcoin's like digital gold and it's a store of value. And I really didn't understand what I was talking about
Yeah.
because I just hadn't done the work. I was like, yeah. And so in January, February, he started looking into it a little bit, and we I remember he sent me a podcast. It was What Bitcoin Did with Nigel Farage,
Okay.
and it was all about him getting debanked.
Okay. Was that back in January 23?
around then. Yeah,
Wow, that's gone quick.
maybe. Yeah, I think it
No,
was.
it probably was, yeah.
Yeah, and I found that really interesting.
Hmm.
And then I just started listening to more and more what Bitcoin did
Okay,
episodes, and kind of simultaneously, me and my dad were both just learning loads about Bitcoin, and
wicked.
we're kind of bouncing ideas off each other, and it was a really good experience because we could do that. Because usually I feel like most people when they're learning about Bitcoin, it's quite isolating
Extremely.
unless you find people on Twitter or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Because no one gets it. It's like
yeah,
you're a crazy person.
yeah.
So
But
that was
even
really good.
yeah, I don't know about you, but even on Twitter, you don't really have that relationship with
No,
anybody, do you? Which can still, you can still, I don't know about yourself, but I found, and I still do now, I can still consume stuff, but if I can't express it or bat the idea around with like-minded people like this now, which is why I do what I do, you can still, you're alone with your thought process, aren't you?
yeah.
And that can play havoc,
Oh, it can be
obviously.
so dangerous because you just
Yeah,
overthink everything and make
absolutely.
terrible decisions.
Yeah,
Or
it's interesting.
it's hard to have
Interesting.
that full belief in what you're doing if you're on your own.
Yeah, it's difficult when you're not on your own,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
but even worse when you're on your own. So yeah, that's interesting. That's yeah, it's a nice bit of feedback from someone, really, because I think most people are like that nowadays. And the
Yeah,
beauty of what I'm trying to do now is the more I can get people to just realize it, then the more we can just hopefully bring that loneliness and segregate it away more than
yeah,
anything, as long as people don't get too egotistical about it all.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
problem, isn't it? But
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but money is always such a taboo thing that you shouldn't talk about
Yeah.
because there are those really toxic conversations about money, and it's like, oh, look how much money I made, and it's always if you're like talking actual numbers, I always think like, yeah, don't talk numbers, talk percentage,
Yep.
keep the numbers to yourself, and but there is just such a culture of like, yeah, it's not good to talk about money,
In the
but it's so
UK,
important.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but it's
very
so
personal, isn't
important.
it? Yeah.
And me and my dad, we can I swear on here or
Oh, of course you can. Jesus, I swear, fuck it all the time.
so we piss off the rest of our family all the time because we're talking about Bitcoin because
Yeah.
it relates back to so many things that
Yeah.
are happening in the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like they're always like, oh, you always bring it back to Bitcoin and you're
Yeah.
constantly talking about money. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, yes, I can see your point. Like
Yeah.
it is true. But the conversations you're talking about, the problems you're talking about, they all come back to the broken money, and
Yeah.
Bitcoin is the solution.
Yeah.
And it sounds ridiculous to
Yeah.
people that don't get it because they're just like, oh, are you talking about it again?
Yeah.
But it is just, I don't know, I think it's true.
Yeah. We have the
And
same thing at our dinner table
yeah, good.
with me and my youngest boy. He's 22, and my wife just rolls her eyes. It's just not again, not again, not Bitcoin again.
Does she get it?
She gets what I've done with it. Yeah, of course she does. So, so, but that, that's fair enough. But I think she's slowly over time seen, because I don't just talk about Bitcoin, I talk about money, the banking
Mm.
system, the financial
Yeah.
system, the pensions, the percentages. And now I can look at a pension, like any of our personal pensions that come through, and I can understand them better. Look at the
Yeah.
returns and look at the what it should be and what it shouldn't be and compare it. So now she's like, oh yeah, God, oh yeah, I get that now. But obviously she doesn't want to talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
As long as
That's
I'm
fair.
doing well and my youngest son's doing well, soon to be my oldest as well. As long as we're doing okay, it's really cool. And it's
Yeah.
silly little things like we all understand money, don't we? Unfortunately, but my grandson, when he was born, I bought some Bitcoin, stuck it in cold storage, and it's just ridiculous amount of money now in
Yeah.
comparison. So when you compare that to obviously when you look at savings accounts in your bank, when you're getting 4%, 3.5%, 2% a little while, a few years ago, 5% if you're lucky, but that was only streamlined for so many years as long as you kept the money and you didn't take it out. When you compare that to what I've done over time, which is great to have that experience, you can all of a sudden just see, now it does work. Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's a big learning curve because people get so. I'm talking too much now. It should be
No,
about you.
no,
Yeah,
no.
people get so, and I'm obsessed with the number of what
Yeah.
something represents. And obviously for us that have been involved with that for 30, 40, 50, nearly 60 years for me personally, it's very hard to disassociate yourself from it because that's all you know.
Yeah.
But when you start to disassociate yourself from that way of thinking, then you start to slowly, oh yeah, it's not about that, is it? No, that's a side product of that. And it's took me personally, I'll come back to you in a second, but it's took me, 3 years to not look at, and it's still hard to do, not look at my portfolio as a fiat price,
Yeah.
just as a asset amount.
Yeah.
And
Like a
that
Bitcoin
is, yeah,
number.
yeah, it's so difficult, but
Yeah.
it's pretty essential because then you can just look at it in many different other ways because you can start then comparing it to houses, cars, shopping, the stuff that is really, it's money, it's proper money.
Yeah.
So you can compare it to that. And that takes a lot of work. I
Yeah.
really
No, it
get when they
does.
say you've got to go through a whole cycle, which I'm nearly there. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it now. I get it now. So sorry, that
Yeah.
was a bit of a side ramble.
No, no, it's good. But I mean,
Sorry, go on, mate.
no, no, I can't remember what I was going to say.
I was just going to go back to your January 23. So obviously you was having a chat with your dad. You're both getting into it. Did you just dip your toe in the pond again, and then
Yes.
start
Yeah.
to learn? Okay.
Yeah. So I think my first buys were around, was it $20,000? That was the flat line at the bottom. I did get a little bit in at that price.
Yeah, bottomed out. I think it was October 22,
Yeah.
and I think that was me and my son's wonderful, most beautiful moment when we was buying there because we'd just
Yeah.
gone all the way down the bear market from the February of the year of that year, with my wife giving us so much grief, saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Oh.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Did you go all in at the top or?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
no. It was very much my story is pretty wacky, really. But to cut a long story short, this time around, because I had the opportunity 12 years ago, totally blew it. But this time around, for some reason, it was more a really weird sensation that, okay, you've got an opportunity to get back in again. Now you need to learn, find out why. I don't know, I called it the universe is saying, now it's time. Now
Yeah.
it's time. But find out why it's time, and that took me on the journey but what we did was the more we so-called thought we knew, we just DCA'd all the way down,
Oh, wow.
all the way down across the year, me and my son, all the way down.
Nice.
With what we could do, we also got involved with a few other things, cocked that up, really fucked it up. But that was great. That was part of the learning curve. But yeah, for us, we did it, and I'm so thankful for it because now I probably learned more doing it in a bear market because I was committed,
Yeah.
and
Oh, definitely.
the commitment had to come from watching my investment go down. And by the time, to cut a long story short, by the time October, we was watching it come down, 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 and then we saved some money because I said to my son at the time, it's got to bottom out soon, according
Mm.
to the cycles. And then we I think it was £12,000.
Oh, wow.
£12,000 was our biggest buy,
Ooh,
right at the bottom.
it's epic.
We loaded, and we haven't stopped since.
Awesome.
DCA every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
DCA. I mean, with yeah, I won't go into my story because it's not why I'm here. But yeah, but the learning curve, dude, is it's tough. It's flipping tough, and you learn so much all the time. And the biggest
Yeah.
thing for me has been money, learning
Mm.
about money. You know.
Yeah. I agree.
But sorry, I said I talk too much sometimes, so you have to just
No, no, no.
tell me to shut the fuck up sometimes. It's great. I love it. I can't. I absolutely love it. So yeah. So you and your dad decide January 23. Dip your finger in the
Yeah.
pond or your toe in the pond, and I presume you went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. I think it took me till about probably 9 months to
Okay.
end up going all in.
Okay.
And I didn't technically go all in, but yeah, I was
I get you.
learning
I know
about
what you
it,
mean. Yeah.
mainly just listening to podcasts. That was my main way of learning.
Yeah. What do
Some
you listen to?
audiobooks.
Who influenced you?
What
And who have
Bitcoin
you
did,
stayed with?
what Bitcoin did was a big one.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm gonna have to open up my Spotify and check. Preston Pish,
Ah,
he was good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch Robert Breedlove?
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing
And
series that man does
yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's
he's good.
really money orientated,
Mm,
and he brings a lot of the philosophy and history of money into it.
yeah.
Lynn Alden, do you
Lynn
watch
Alden, yeah.
Lynn Alden? Got an amazing book
Um,
out.
TFTC,
Yeah,
coin stories, the Bitcoin layer with that was a
yeah,
good one.
yeah. I
And
know.
then yeah, that's about it really. I just sort of stuck with those and just kept listening. But obviously you get such a range of guests
Yes,
that you learn so much just from that.
yeah,
And I was listening to those for months on the way to and from work, during work. And there was so much I didn't understand,
yeah,
but I was just so determined. I was like, this is, yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, like kind of like the universe is just telling you, you can feel that it's important. You get little breadcrumbs that are like, show you how broken the current system is. And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't understand this, but I need to keep listening. I need to keep learning. And that's how it was for me. Yeah. So I was gradually, I had my investment ISA, which was the money to pay off the house,
sure, yeah,
which was
yeah,
not enough to pay off the house anymore.
yeah.
And I was gradually selling that to buy Bitcoin.
Okay,
So that, and then that was doing really well. So yeah, gradually it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I was like, I'm never going to, I always thought, you hear people talking about diversification and everything like that. And I think it's just the biggest load of bollocks. I've tried that in my sort of professional life. I've tried to do a job with another side project and another side project. I've tried that with investing in lots of different things, and it doesn't work. You spread yourself too thin. You have
yeah,
to go all in. You have to back yourself and find something that you believe in. And I said to myself, like, I'm never gonna my life is never going to change unless I go all in on this thing. And I feel like it is the right thing to do. So gradually did that. And yeah, I didn't technically go all in because I've then realized that MicroStrategy existed. So I started just keeping the money in the ISA, investing into that because
yeah,
yeah. But then looking at that, those gains compared priced in Bitcoin effectively. So
yeah.
it's like, yeah. Um, yeah.
So that was a so 20, yeah, 23. So you had 2 years of that basically.
Yeah, 1 year, 9 months to a year
Okay.
of learning and then going all in.
Yeah.
And then I've had about a year being all in now.
Okay.
So yeah. So last year went to my first conference that me and my dad went to,
Oh,
and
it's so cool to hear that your dad's involved.
yeah, it's really cool because it's something to bond over as well. It's like a
Oh,
good.
100%.
So yeah, the two of us went. It's such a I feel like it's quite Bitcoiny because we went in his caravan and
All right.
found a really cheap campsite
Oh, I remember you
on the
saying.
outskirts of Bedford, and it's just like,
Oh, did you go to the Bedford one?
yeah, yeah,
All right, cool. That's Peter McCormack's football club, isn't it?
yeah. So
Yeah,
we went there, stayed in the caravan, saved a load of money doing that, obviously,
yeah.
rather than staying in a hotel. Kind of slummed it, but it's just like that kind of is Bitcoin, isn't it? Like
It is.
save money to stack sats and
It, and the reality of it is, it's real.
yeah,
It's real. It's. I don't know about you, but I've found because of the way we are in the UK, we're very insular when it comes to, as you mentioned earlier, when it comes to talking about money and bits and pieces. And there's a bit of, I think, as a society, we judge each other, whether we mean to or not, on the stuff that we have and the way we live our lives.
yeah, definitely.
But in true reality, it's almost like I always call it. We almost start living in a social media world where it's not really real. I always used to say to
Mm,
my youngest boy, I said, there is a real world out there. You know, you spend a hell of a lot of time on online, but the reality is how when we leave our homes and go out into the what I call the physical world,
yeah,
that's when we're all sort of can't really hide too much.
yeah,
You know, you can, yeah. I like you say, oh, that guy's got a nice car, and I go, yeah, but is it his? And he just go, well, of course it's his. He's driving it. And I say, yeah, but it might not be his, and he could lose it tomorrow if he's got it on finance. Oh, the
yeah.
people have finance, Dad. Yeah, yeah. Money doesn't grow on trees, dude.
Probably most people are driving finance cars.
I would say probably almost everybody. I do. I
Yeah,
do. Very, very, try to be a bit clever over it all, but it I think most of us, when that's why I love hearing the rawness of, because the reality is you're going to go somewhere. One, it's lovely that you got that bonding time with your dad, which is great for a boy,
yeah.
which I know some people haven't got that opportunity, but it's really cool to hear. And two, the reality is most of us would have to do the same. We don't like all go to a conference in a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, or
No,
we
exactly.
fly in, or but that's all we see, isn't it? Most
Yeah,
of the time, we get that perception of, oh, we got some big Bitcoiners coming in, and you hear sometimes Peter McCall out would say, yeah, we flew you over, da, da, da. So it all sounds like wait. And so you automatically you're judging the whole concept of what Bitcoin is. And that can be like, oh yeah, I want some of that. Bang,
yeah,
put all my money in, and before you know it, you've lost it because it's took a dip or whatever. It's
yeah.
crucial to know that normal people can get into this and do normal stuff and bet themselves. So I appreciate you sharing that bit. It's really important.
But that was the wild thing. I mean, you go into this. I mean, I kind of went there, and I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, there's some really big names, like really impressive people, and there were. I'm not discrediting that,
No,
but the fact that they were all so down to earth and they have conversations with you, I just couldn't get my head around it. It was like
yeah.
I was stood in a bar talking to Jack Mallers. I was like,
Oh,
how
right,
is
there
this
you go.
happening?
Yeah,
And like he was asking about me. Like
yeah,
that's not what really successful people do. They're usually just like, oh yeah,
yeah,
do you want to talk about me and whatever? But not Bitcoiners.
yeah,
Everyone wants to engage and contribute, and they're genuine people, like genuinely nice people,
yeah.
all looking to build things and make the world a better place. And yeah, it's just really cool to see. And he's kind of like a perfect example. He works out of his empty wardrobe, and
It's a big wardrobe though.
yeah, but it's just like all the material stuff. It doesn't matter,
No.
and yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, Jeff Boo is another interesting guy to listen to.
Yeah,
Have you ever listened to him?
yeah,
Yeah, very it loses me a little bit.
yeah. He
Sometimes.
feels like he's a little bit on the planet ahead of you.
Oh,
You kind of
100%. Yeah.
having to catch up constantly. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I understand. No, you might have lost me now.
yeah. Ah, brilliant. So, what was the conference like as a raw, as an experience? Because I'd like to go with my son this year.
Yeah, it's great. We're going to go this year as well.
Oh, are you?
And yeah, I think so. That's the
Oh,
plan.
excellent.
Yeah. Have you been to any?
No, no, not at all. I haven't been to anything.
I'd definitely recommend it.
Yeah,
Just purely for, I mean, when I went, I think we both learnt a fair amount from the speeches and whatever. But obviously now it's probably a lot of the same sort of themes that you kind of are already aware of
yeah,
if you've been in Bitcoin for 3 years. But just speaking to the people around it and the energy and yeah, you kind of no one's looking to impress. They're just looking to make everything better
yeah.
and meet people, have fun, and yeah,
I've got
it's really cool.
an interesting question for you. And did you at any stage feel like there was a bit of an easy way of putting this, a sales pitch of about Bitcoin? Did it ever come across as though it was, yeah, a sales pitch? What
Yes.
and what I'm getting to is that there's many people that I won't say any names, but there's people that try to do these like get-togethers where they're selling property things and trying to get you to buy stuff, and for me that's just like really I don't want
Mm.
to do that sort of thing. And I often think now for me it'd be a little bit different because I'm a bit further down the curve of learning. But for new people, is there would there be anything like turny offy there where someone could turn around and go, oh, it's a bit salesy, like they're really pushing this Bitcoin thing
Do you mean at the conference?
at the conference? Yeah.
Not really,
Oh,
actually.
good. Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, I don't remember hearing anyone talk about price
Okay.
once, which I kind of think says it all.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about the price of Bitcoin, you're not really talking about the underlying problems and the real benefits of the asset.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, but no one at any point talks about any like the price,
That's
except,
cool. That's great to be able to put that on air from someone that's been there.
yeah, I mean,
Because you
it
never
kind
know.
of,
Some people might be like, "Oh, I want to go, but I'm not sure. Is it just one of these bloody pyramid?" But you've heard it all: pyramid schemes,
yeah,
all of that stuff. Is it going to be
but
that sort of thing? But
I feel that kind of shows that there aren't people there trying to sell anything really. They're trying to
yeah,
sell products. So
yeah,
yeah,
get that
Peter
anyway.
was selling t-shirts
Yeah,
and they were selling ledgers, but that's it.
yeah,
And there wasn't any pressure.
yeah.
It's just like these are there. It's mainly just trying to sell drinks and food and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's good to put across, isn't it? More than anything, because that's the
yeah,
other thing about I don't know. It seems like in America they're used to that sort of thing, but over here we're a little bit more reserved with it all, and people don't like being like
yeah,
pressurized, or they just want to feel relaxed like this, and
yeah,
chilled
yeah.
out and
Exactly.
learn about something. So that's why I
As
asked the
soon
question. Sorry.
as soon as you feel like someone's trying to shove something down your throat, you're instantly turned off on you. It's just
Yeah, it's just like, oh, fuck off. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't want to know that. And then you're just married to the narrative that you hear on mainstream or the negativity on social, aren't you? And then your whole
yeah.
perspective, you're just missing out all the time.
But that's what's so difficult about orange pilling. I find is that it's so easy to turn people off about Bitcoin. It's like you just mention it, and it's like nope, don't want to hear it,
Yeah,
and it's kind of tricky. But like I said earlier, it's like you kind of have to just let people find it themselves.
Mm.
Otherwise, well, maybe you don't. I just haven't found a way.
Yeah. I suppose for me in the early days, wanted to talk about it like I talk to my son, but my son's interested. He's got a direct input into it all. He's got an interest into it all. He's young. It's his future. and he likes that sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
But that was my next question for you, actually, before we go back into your journey. And as a rule, would you say if you can drop a percentage when you go out, what I call into the real world,
Hmm.
yeah, outside of your comfort zone of talking to your dad or in your own home comfort
Yeah.
circle, Bitcoin circle, when you go out to the real world, what percentage of people actually even one bring up finance, two bring up Bitcoin, and talk about anything like that? Because I put it up into the high 90s that
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah. It's very minimal. I mean, really, the only thing people talk about when it comes to finances is like, oh, that's an expensive looking house or that's an expensive looking car.
Yeah,
And that's basically
yeah.
as far as it gets.
And moaning about the economy
Yeah.
and blaming the
So,
government for everything.
yeah. And I'm never going to be able to afford that. And yeah. Yeah. I mean, in my circles, that's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Some people talk, some of my friends or whatever who are similar ages to me, they are kind of, I feel like investing has made a bit of a headway, but most of them are using those platforms that, like the robo investment platforms.
Okay.
So you pick a risk appetite rather than any stocks.
Trading 212. In,
Um,
is
More
that okay?
so things like Moneybox
All
and
right.
Nutmeg. So
Okay. Never heard of them. So,
they're these platforms where you can't pick stocks. Actually, Vanguard as well.
okay.
You pick like how you have a sliding scale, usually like 1 to 5. It's like, okay, you can either go safe or risky or
Okay.
somewhere in between.
Yep.
And then it creates a portfolio based off that.
Okay.
So if you go safe, you get basically 100% cash and bonds. If you go risky, you get basically 100% equities.
Okay.
And if you know about Bitcoin and inflation and money, you know that if you go 100% safe, you will guarantee that you guarantee that you're going to lose money.
Yep.
And if you go risky, although it sounds terrible and scary, that is the only chance you might have in a platform like that of making returns that beat inflation.
Yep.
So, yeah, kind of going a bit off track, but
No, no, no.
yeah,
It's cool.
I've got a bunch of friends who have done that, and
Yeah.
that's about as far as they go.
Because it's easy.
Yeah, and I'm like, you don't need to use these platforms. They take a big fee for doing it. All you need to do is just buy S&P 500 as a starter.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't financial advice, obviously, but
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
just like that's the easiest thing to buy and do nothing with. And you don't really, it doesn't need a lot of explanation because it does go straight up.
Mhm.
Not, well, not as steeply as Bitcoin, but it kind of just marches on.
Yeah.
Same with gold. And yeah, but people don't want to do it. They
It's weird,
feel
isn't
they
it?
feel much more comfortable having a platform that feels like a financial advisor because finance is just so full of complications that make it scary, unfortunately.
Yes, until you go down the rabbit hole and learn.
Yeah,
And it's not quite so scary.
no,
Oh,
but it,
that's. I mean, I don't know everything, obviously, but I definitely don't find it as scary anymore.
no, definitely me neither. But it is, there is so much to learn, and then you have to learn that so much of the stuff you've learned is just a load of rubbish,
Yep.
and it's just so time consuming to get to that point. Yeah,
There's a great adage about. I used to hear in the early days, like doing the 100 hours, 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours, and I used to sit and I think, really? But boy, yeah, I've probably done well over 1,000 hours. Such a thing,
yeah,
totally consumed by it. But
yeah.
it's so. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't know about yourself. I'm talking too much. But I
No,
just really find it frustrating that when you learn something, it's a great reference. I always say, and one of my mates come up with it, and we shared it together. And that's once you know, you know. You can't not know. The only way you can not know is if you ignore it. But you always know. And I feel that was part of my journey. It's like I had time this time to know, but once I knew, I couldn't just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I had a choice. I could ignore it, but somehow I couldn't. It
Yeah.
was really weird. I must, like me and my youngest boy, would just say, "Yeah, we know, but we don't know, but we keep on, but we keep on knowing." I mean, like we look at each other and just laugh, but it just made sense. It just made
Yeah.
sense because we couldn't ignore it anymore unless we chose to,
Yeah.
you know. And I think maybe some people have those thought processes at a time, and then they make a choice. I've got time to learn. And that
Yeah.
ties in with you get in when you're ready to get in and you pay the price when you're ready to get in.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it sort
think
of makes sense.
I think a lot of people in this country especially, they do feel completely hopeless. That there is nothing, they're living paycheck to paycheck and they don't see any way out of that situation. So I feel I've explained it to some people in that situation. I'm like, all you need to do is just save a little bit, and once you start saving, then you just save in Bitcoin, and that is the thing that basically will help you get out of your situation. But I feel they just can't get past the first bit because it's like, nah, I'm I have no hope, and they just can't do that tiny bit of learning, or they don't have the motivation to even just start saving or try and like stop spending as much.
So it's not really about Bitcoin, is it? It's more a social thing
Yeah, but it's
because,
just everyone feels so just suppressed
yes,
by shit money.
yeah. And that's my conversation now. If I ever have it, I'd rather talk to people because my wife goes, "We're going up. You're not going to talk about Bitcoin, are you?" I said, "No, I'm bored with it now. I don't want to. I know what I'm doing. For me, we're doing okay, and
Yeah,
it's a great journey. But I'm fascinated by people and their concept of their situations and how they talk about money
yeah,
through not directly, not their personal money, but money as in jobs, politics if they want to bring politics in, their work, and having those conversations. And I'm finding that more useful because I've slowly beginning to talk about things that people don't normally talk about, and like I'm trying to get them. And I say like, well, why don't you think your company's employing more people, or why do you think that your job's going to be secure for the next 40 years to pay your mortgage? Why do you think that? And they go, well,
mm,
we don't. And I say, doesn't that worry you then? And it just hits a conversation, and it takes you all down many different places that I think, okay, there's the seed. Hopefully
yeah,
they will think about money and what they're doing, and with any luck that will something will pop up on their feed, and and I think that's a cool way to do it in the UK, unless people actually want to talk
yeah,
about certain things.
yeah. Bitcoin has to be the afterthought, really.
Well, it's just a solution, isn't it?
Yeah,
But if you don't identify the problem,
yeah, no, exactly.
then you're not going to come to the solution, are you? Because at
Yeah,
the moment, the solution to everybody is price.
yeah,
Is it going to make me rich? Oh,
yeah,
yes, it will. Oh, how? How much do I need to put in? And that's not the answer, is it?
yeah. It's not the point. It's like it's like
But that goes back to your friends using those trading platforms, isn't it?
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
we all try to do. And I think for me personally, that's made me more comfortable not to talk about Bitcoin, but to talk about general stuff. But those little prizing questions about, well,
mm,
I'm quite big around the silver and gold community. If you've seen any of my stuff, and I quite often people talk about it's a similar thing. When they go, oh, it's a hedge against inflation, and I go, well, what do you mean by that? And is it working? Give me, tell me, educate me.
mm,
And you start talking about and making people realize, oh, right, okay. And then you bring in, well, how does that affect money debasement? Well, what's money debasement? Well, really? Do you not know all the time they're printing money, they're debasing the value of, well, how does that work? And you can simply do that with, if I give you a pound, yeah, you've got the only
Yeah.
pound in the world and it's worth a pound. It's pretty sacred, isn't it? And they go, yeah. And well, I've just pulled another pound out. Is that pound worth the pound? And they go, yeah. And I go, no, because there's two of them. And then they go, oh, yeah. I said, now convert that into billions and trillions. Whenever that's just done out of thin air, it has to have an effect on the current circulation of money. And then they go, oh, frig, yeah, I didn't think about that. And I said, that's been going on for ages. And
Yeah.
that's going to have an effect on whatever, So it's conversations like that, really, where
Yeah, exactly.
it's really
I'm,
cool.
I mean, this evening I had my, we were saying, talking about it before we started recording, but I had a personal training session which my girlfriend got me because she's obviously trying to tell me
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. My
And
wife, my wife does every day.
so I was talking to this guy and I was like, he's asking what I do. And I was like explaining, yeah, Bitcoin and yeah, trying to like not really overcomplicate it. And he was like, oh yeah, I don't really understand any of that. I'm just talking to him a bit about banking. It's like, well, okay, so if you put money in the bank, does that the bank doesn't have that money? They can they can lend out 50 times, if not more, just from that one deposit. So if you and everyone else try and withdraw their money, the bank won't have the money and the bank will have to close. And he's like, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? And then he's like, he's asking the questions. So he's like, clearly get engaged in it. He's like, okay, so what happens if that happens? And I was like, well, the bank has to close. And but the bank won't close because it's tied to the central bank, and then the central bank will bail them out. And what they'll do is print money to keep that bank afloat, which will create inflation and debase all of the current units of money that are in circulation. And he's like, I think he got it. And it's like, it's conversations like that, so similar sort of lines. It's like, we're not talking about Bitcoin. We're just talking about the issues with the system and trying to understand what a bank is, to be honest,
Yeah.
and how it operates.
Yeah. The simplicity of learning about, your money's not yours once it goes into the bank. It's not
Yeah,
yours. And that really pissed me off when I learned that. I
yeah,
remember watching I can't remember what I was watching, but I listened to someone explain that. And I went, nah, fuck off. That was no, no way. And it's just like, no, it can't be. Anyway, I did more research, more people were saying it when I was reading more things. And I thought, oh, Jesus, what a prat I've been. It
it's
gives you
insane,
that.
isn't it?
It's massively insane. It's massively insane. And I always say to my wife that it's interesting because all the time, because I'm 60 years of age soon, but all the time that through my lifetime, money's been good.
Mm,
When I say money, I mean fiat money. When it's been of abundance and thrown
yeah,
at you, you've been happy to consume and not worry because you have a tendency to then live paycheck. You can live paycheck to paycheck if you want to. You worry about saving money. You've always got money. There's always a paycheck. There's a guarantee of work. You think, and I've personally lived through that for years and years and years and years and years and years. But then, like an idiot, I must say, but that was the system. I had no other reason to even think that I need to look at anything any differently until I had to.
yeah,
And that's another interesting conversation you can have. And then to flip that to today, watching my children grow up, and obviously taking a lot of interest in younger people. Got quite a few young people come on my podcast and talk, and I've been interacting with, young people. I can't help but think when they're telling me what's going on, and I sit there and I think, Jesus Christ, man, that wasn't like that when I was 20 or 25. What the hell's happened?
Yeah.
And then you dig and learn a little bit more, and then you just understand the effects of inflation, money debasement terribly, and what it's done to society. And they just get away with it. But even that, when I say they get away with it, because it really got my goat up to
Mm.
think that, oh, someone had it in for me, as if they did. Because most people that work in the banking industry haven't even heard of me. I'm just a number somewhere. It's just all you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just a number. But you just go, then you go get resentful,
Yeah.
and,
Okay.
and, and that can put you off a little bit.
Mm.
But for me, this time around, it just made, no, I don't want to be, I want to be resentful, but I want to be resentful in a positive way.
Take the power back.
Yeah, exactly. And of
Yeah.
course, the solution, inevitably,
Yeah.
is Bitcoin. You
I
know,
mean, that's what I think so great about it. So,
sorry,
I
I'll shut
mean,
up.
no, it's good. But leading on from that, I mean, I kind of think you can kind of feel the way that people work now. It's so people are expected to work crazy hours, not a lot of holiday, not a lot of pay, and it's just expected. And I'm 29, so I don't know what that was like 30 years ago, but I think people were working very hard, but I think they were getting paid better. And now it's just what Bitcoin has done for me is made me able to kind of take that power away from employers who want to take advantage of you and not pay you and do all these things that they think are acceptable. I mean, I'm not saying employers are bad, but it's just, yeah, there are certain situations.
They're just people, aren't they? They're just
Yeah.
people trapped in a hamster wheel of doing stuff.
But Bitcoin gives you freedom, which,
100%.
but in the way that you think about everything. So, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to explain this very well, but
Go on. Take a deep breath
it's
and
just it's made the way I think about absolutely everything completely different. So if someone tries to like if you're making decent returns from your Bitcoin stack and you're working a normal 9 to 5 job, there's a point where your Bitcoin returns will overtake your salary, your annual salary or whatever. And then you go into work and you just think, okay, I've been told I'm not allowed to take leave next week for this reason. It's got a company policy or whatever, even though there's not there's not a particularly good reason to not allow that to happen or whatever it is.
yeah,
But then Bitcoin just makes you think, okay, well, no, I'm gonna take my freedom more seriously and not accept this. And it allows you to think that way about so many things and not get taken advantage of because there are so many people that I just see they are getting squeezed and they have no options and they have to let it happen because they care about their job security, whatever else it is, and they've got bills to pay. They need to pay their rent, their mortgage, whatever it is, and it's just you kind of are forced. You're forced up against the wall with not a lot of options, just because of that slow degrading
yeah,
of society
yeah,
because of the shit money.
yeah. I can't disagree more. I look at it now. Do you know when you hear people, Bitcoin is hope?
Yeah,
That sounds, that just sounds like very like, yeah, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I hope I live tomorrow. I hope I wake up in the morning. I hope I've still got a job. When we put the context of hope and assign it to something, it's got to have meaning. Now,
mm,
just listening to you, I was just like my head was going, trying to put it into some sort of thought process. And when you explain, I see it all the time. People aren't just doing one job, they're doing two jobs. Some people are doing three jobs. It's even worse in America, I believe. They're always talking about it. I
Yeah.
haven't witnessed it, but people talk about it. You've got to trust people. But I see it around me in the real world. It's actually something you can't ignore, you know. Someone's doing it. Someone's got to look after the kids. But if you're lucky enough to have two people in that relationship, because a lot of people haven't,
Yeah.
and then people, you know, I know if we have takeaways, we have certain people come round and finish their day job and then they're delivering for takeaways, you know, in the evenings. So I then look at that as people get stuck in a psychological spiral without hope
Yes. Yeah,
because,
exactly.
yeah. And by going into Bitcoin with hope doesn't mean to say you've got to stop that spiral, but psychologically, you've now got a reason to be hopeful.
Yeah.
So you still got to do the spiral because of the situation that we're in, but by using a medium of exchange, I love that, a medium that you've got hope in that's made sense after doing some research, the spiral of getting up, going out. Most people get up, go out, fucking don't want to go out to work. I don't blame them because it's
Mm.
shit for most people, but they have to. I watch the traffic sitting there. I'm so lucky I work for myself, but I can please myself. But my wife hates her job. She hates it. Absolutely
Yeah.
hates it, but she does it because she wants the money, you know? So, and there's 95 to 96, 97% of the population of probably the Western world are all in the same position. But without a bit of hope, then that spiral is just psychologically destroying people,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly.
And by giving someone hope, by educating themselves, hopefully, on something, then I think we are so early, and it's nice to be in early, but we're so early that when people start going, oh yeah, but the price of this, price of that, blah blah, it doesn't matter.
No.
It just doesn't matter. We're too early in it, you know. But having that get up, oh yeah, got a shit day, the boss was a right wanker, or this, that, all the bollocks, you know, that you have to
Yeah.
psychologically go through working for corporate companies or whatever you're doing, dealing with customers that hate you or whatever, becomes a little bit more better to deal with because all of a sudden your little bit of DCAing, yeah, because you understand the process, brings hope. And I think fundamentally that's the message that's probably more critical now than saying, oh, I made 130% this year, because most people go,
Yeah.
fuck you,
Yeah, exactly.
you lucky bastard, you don't know what it's like to be like, you know, all that shit. It's
Yeah.
irrelevant. People have often said, oh, you're rich, aren't you? I ain't rich. I'm not rich. I can assure you I'm not rich. But it's that perception of, oh, you've been doing this, so you must be.
It's just,
It's
yeah.
mad. It's crazy. But that's such an off put. It's a shame. And I think we're in the UK especially, we're just lost. Totally lost.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex. I've took over the
No, no,
conversation.
no. No, it's so
Yeah.
true.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it gives you that hope and a little bit of breathing space to think, is this what I want to be doing? Is there something else I could be contributing towards that's more productive with my time? I mean, that was one of the biggest. I'm still working the job that I'm not enthralled with. And I hope none of my employers are listening to this. But I mean, one of the biggest things for me is just trying to be productive during my work time, because my logic is you go to work, you work productively, and then you leave, unless it's a job you're super passionate about. And that's what I've just tried to do. But it's the hurdles that always crop up. It's like, oh yeah, well, you've been productive, but you actually need to be at your desk for until 4 o'clock when you're supposed to leave, or you're actually working from home too much. And it's like, okay, but what's the output issue? So, oh, you were late to your desk this morning. Okay. Again, what's the output issue? Like, can I just be an adult and manage my own time? I mean, like, I was thinking about this the other day. I was working from home and had to take the dog for a walk and have lunch during my 1 hour lunch break. And it just seems a bit sad really that I'm trying to rush walking the dog, which should be an enjoyable experience. You're going out in nature, it's really frosty, it's nice. It's a nice thing to do if you have the time and the breathing space to appreciate it. If not, it's just one of those, it's another chore. And then you come back and it's like, oh well, I've had my hour lunch break and don't have time to eat now, so I need to get back to the desk so everyone knows that I'm back working. And it's just so toxic and it's not productive.
No,
And
psychologically, it must be
yeah,
all, well, I can remember those days. So it's awful. It's
yeah,
absolutely awful. But everyone in that ladder is all feeling the same way. They're all getting chewed from the top from a finance accounting department that's running the business, really, because that's how it works.
yeah.
Everyone's getting chewed down. You know, he's
And it's
having a
just
bad day. Yeah.
whoever can be bothered to climb that ladder will then become the person who's kind of got a bit more control and but yeah, it's just so toxic, isn't it?
It is.
It's
But
nothing is focused on productivity. It's just, oh yeah, well, you need to be seen to be doing this or whatever.
it's
Yeah,
weird.
rant about work that can move on if you want.
No, but it's normal, isn't it? It's crazy normal. And that message you could probably repeat 98, 99% of the time with most people that you meet.
Yeah,
I'm lucky, extremely lucky, because I've built a business. Like as you know, I'm nearly 60. I've built a business. I'm plumbing and heating engineer. Great trade to be in. Done it for 42 years. Been self-employed for 25. You know, built up a lovely
nice.
customer. Don't get me wrong. It's been hard graft,
Yeah,
absolutely hard graft. But that because I was the boss, I was the accountant, I was the CEO, I was everything.
mm,
Yeah, and that was hard trying to do it all. But now it's just just a wonderful job. Oh, I know all my customers personally. You know, I've watched their kids
yeah,
grow up. You know, I'm always there when they need me. Well, try to be. You know, and I've got a choice. I've built
yeah.
that choice. So
But that's the thing, isn't it? It feels good to
it's
add value.
freedom.
Yeah,
That's the freedom. That's
yeah.
that freedom that you was going on about.
But it's not like you want freedom with nothing to do. You want
No,
to, it feels good to add value. And like you're saying, like you're adding value to your customers and
yeah,
they appreciate it and everyone is just happy. You're building everyone up by adding value. And
mm. Yeah.
yeah,
To listen to you know, to put and that got me on the subject to understanding time and energy. My time and energy is the most valuable thing that I can contribute to
yeah,
how I want to live and if I want freedom or not. Which goes over a lot of people's heads because we don't think
mm,
about it. I never used to think about it like that. But of course, that from what you was just saying to a simple example, when you know the weather's cold, I've got quite a few elderly customers. Andy, my heating's not working. Can you come round? Okay, yeah, I'll be round in a little while. Bang, get round there, sort it out, done. I've got a big smile on their face. Don't know what to do without you. Makes me feel good. So I've
yeah,
contributed. Unfortunately, I've got fiat money for it, but that's I need fiat money, unfortunately, because that's what it's about. There's nothing stopping me converting it, obviously,
yeah,
but it's that value thing. You've contributed exactly what you were saying. You know, I've managed to contribute some value with my time and energy. It's made me feel good. My customers happy. It's made them feel good. Happy days. We've exchanged a medium of exchange.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
What a wonderful place to be. And that's probably what most people should be doing. But how they're going to incorporate, how they can even incorporate that into a big corporate business, I have no idea because you're dealing with people that are getting up in the morning at all levels, fucked off, pissed off, don't want to be there, having to
yeah,
jump on the hamster wheel and you know grind away, which is where Bitcoin an associated understanding of it brings hope,
Definitely.
just to give anyone hope out there. Sorry.
No, no.
It's
Yeah,
amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
But that's one of the funny things as well. It's like if you mention Bitcoin, it's like, oh yeah, well, if you're into Bitcoin, you're just making money and it's easy and you're not adding value. And that's
Yeah.
just kind of the assumption, but
Yeah.
it's not. I don't think it's how Bitcoiners are thinking.
No.
It might be how crypto traders are thinking, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe that's unfair, but
No, because they're probably married to their currency if
yeah,
that's their job.
yeah,
Just like I've got to, I'm married to my currency in my job, because I need it.
yeah,
It is a strange one, and that's why I think that we are still so early in that adoption curve, for sure, for sure, and that gives me a lot of encouragement, really.
yeah.
I quite often say to my son, for once in our life, we're actually at the verge of something so early, and we're in
Oh yeah. I said to my dad as well. It's like this is the trade of a
your lifetime.
lifetime. It just is, and it feels amazing to be in it and have well. Personally, I have such conviction that it is it. This is one of the best opportunities ever. Um, but obviously, that's just my opinion.
Well, yeah,
Can't tell anyone that, yeah, what to think.
but that's a reflection of your journey,
Mm,
isn't it?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if if through conversation, if someone come up to me and said that, and I'd say why, because we've been talking about the whys for the last hour and a half, you know, so it's pretty evident why. It's not just off the, a great example is you meet your a young lady or a young man or a man or a woman, whatever you're doing, and then for the first 4 months, like you don't give a fuck about anything in the world,
yeah,
just your love for that person, everything else is irrelevant, and you can
yeah,
say, oh, why? Like, oh, I've just met the girl of my dreams or the guy of my dreams, and you think, oh yeah, I get that, yeah, yeah, no worries, and then we get back on the hamster wheel.
yeah.
Reality hits, but it's not reality, is it? It's
No, it's like
what
going
it,
on holiday.
yeah, exactly. Sorry, mate. We've sort of. Was there anything else that was very definitive in that journey from when you got in 2023 to today? I mean,
Um,
obviously, I'm a little bit disappointed that you're not doing much on your channel at the moment because I was really enjoying it. And I've run out of videos.
well, I'm actually recording one at the weekend, so
Hey, cool.
yeah, getting back on the hamster wheel.
Yay. Yeah, why
Different
not?
hamster wheel, but
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no, I'm looking to get consistent with that again,
Mhm.
and a change in work work balance might be that. So yeah. What was your question? Anything
Was
else
it
on the
was there
journey?
anything that between that January you're getting back into Bitcoin with your dad obviously and we went off on a ramble anyway, but was there
I
any
think
other defining learning curves that you went through emotionally? Anything that's been happening with obviously the ETFs went live when you went live.
yeah, that was huge.
Was that emotionally? Did you get caught up in, like I did, and probably most people did, oh, this is going to go up forever, blimey, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. How many trillions is coming in? By the end of the month, it'll be worth, Bitcoin would have tripled, but all he did was go down for a few days. How
Yeah.
was all that emotionally? And with the narrative of what's going on within Bitcoin, how are your how are your emotions with that? Do you get wrapped up with the bullshit and the bollocks, or
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I was consuming so much information, getting so obsessed with the ETF launch, following all the macro updates, and you just think, oh yeah, when this happens, Bitcoin is going up in a straight line and it's not coming back down. And but to be fair, it didn't really phase me because I wasn't thinking, oh, what numbers could it get to? That it's more recently I've sort of fallen into that trap. But yeah, the ETFs launched. I think yeah, I went all in just before that really, because I was like, I have to go all in before the ETFs happen. And once that was clear, it was like, okay, yeah, the rest of my money dumped into MSTR. Then obviously yes, crashed. Didn't really bother me though, if I'm honest, because yeah, you have the conviction, so you just hold it. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, it's a sell the news event, simple as that. But then more recently, when Bitcoin got to 100k, I because I invested into MSTR because obviously the tax benefits of doing that. Otherwise, I probably would have stayed fully in Bitcoin, but just for the tax incentive, because I know I'm going to have to sell some of my stack at some point, like to pay off the house or whatever. It made sense to me to keep that in an ISA,
100%.
and then that caused me to go down the rabbit hole. And what I had in MSTR has obviously gone up significantly more than the Bitcoin has, just because of the nature of that stock. But yeah, when just before it hit 100k, it went up so much. It went to far, was it 400 or 550?
Yeah, because you would have got in before the split as well, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but just recently, what was it? Got it on my other screen. It went to $550 a share, which is insane. So it went up and like a ridiculous amount in a week, and those gains for me were just obscene. But I mean, it doubled in literally a week, if not more. And then that, not selling anything at that point because I do have liabilities I need to pay off. That was a bit of a sort of a learning point for me because it's like, yes, you do want to hold forever. Everyone says you never sell your Bitcoin, and I do fully agree with that. But if you have liabilities, you do need to skim something off strategically. And yeah, even though you know that it's going up forever, it does hurt watching it come down like 60% or whatever it was. And it's just, yeah, it's emotional. And I think you just have to do what is right for you to not let the emotion get the better of you. So I've realized for me, even though I don't believe in it long term to sell any Bitcoin or MicroStrategy, for me, it is healthier to sell a little bit. So skim off 10, 20% and use that to start a business or something, even though that might not be the best financial decision because obviously it may just carry on going up in a straight line. Like it might not. There might not be another cycle where we have a huge bear market. I think there will be, but there may not be. And then you'll have that opportunity cost loss. But yeah, in terms of mentally, it might be the better option to start a business and skim that money off. And I think for me, I've realized that that is the better option for me. Just have something else. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably one of the biggest things recently.
yeah, it makes sense because even just to experience it and understand your emotional reaction to it, then rationally think it through is so powerful. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how powerful that is. Now, very slightly, I had sold my MicroStrategy earlier on in the year
Okay.
before the split, and I think it was at. I think I got out when it was nearing $1,700,
Okay.
which would have been the
Oh yeah, yeah,
earlier part of this year.
yeah. Just before it ran up and then
Yeah,
crashed just below 200.
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, something like that. But
Or 2000, sorry, before the
yeah,
split.
I yeah, I got out then. The reason why I got out then was I made a five-figure profit
Nice.
from my ISA, so it's tax
Yeah.
free. And hindsight, I should have kept it, but I didn't know that at the time. And the most beautiful feeling I had was I just traded and made my first proper trade with belief and educating myself and come out with a five-figure sum, pure profit, tax free,
Yeah.
that I bought Bitcoin with. But that experience was far greater to experience for next time because maybe I wasn't thinking as clear as I should have done. Maybe I could have took half and left it. I was just obsessed
Yeah.
with, oh my God, I've made five figures. What? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've actually done something with a substantial piece of money. And that was just so self rewarding that I've never forgot it. I've learned so much of it from it. And it's a lovely story. But equally, it can be like what you just said,
So
saying consequences.
do you
Sorry,
regret it then, or do you feel that that was?
I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Not one bit.
And
If you put the figures down, because we've got hindsight, yes,
yeah,
I'd be ridiculously up, you
yeah.
know? But that's irrelevant because it might not have done that
But what I'm
at the
hearing is that
time.
you're thinking about it in Bitcoin terms as well. If you sold it to then buy Bitcoin, it's like, well,
Oh, I've
yeah,
got a fair amount of free Bitcoin, to be honest.
yeah, exactly. So
The
although
downside of it was realizing it was someone else's money because there's always someone that wins and someone that loses, isn't there? You know, in
yeah,
the big marketplace, that
yeah,
psychologically, but I didn't think about that for long, you know, because it could have quite easily been, you know, my loss, you know, somewhere down the line, you know.
yeah,
But that was fundamentally a massive, massive turning curve in my investment experience because I'd actually not only did I think about it, I executed it probably at the right time for me.
yeah,
And now it's made me understand that maybe if I'm in a similar situation, then I could do something slightly different, but I would still execute something,
yeah,
which is what you was just saying, wasn't it?
yeah.
You know, what you was thinking about.
But also that like the hindsight thing is just so hard to. You can't just look at that because you could have held and then experienced the emotional turmoil of it then crashing, which it did. And then what you're going to do, you maybe sell at the exact same price
Yeah.
because you could have. So did you say you sold it around 1700?
I think it was about $1,700, yeah, at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it went up
1,500
to
quid.
then 2 grand,
I think it
comes
went up a
back
little.
down
I
to
think it come down and it went up a little bit more and then it crashed
yeah.
for a
So
little bit.
it crashed from $2,000 to $1,000,
That's it. Yeah.
and you could have sold at 17,000
Yeah.
on the way down, but
Yeah.
you'd have felt awful about it
Yeah.
because oh, missed out on, and
Yeah.
you're selling on the way down, and it just doesn't feel as good somehow. And
It's almost like, oh, I've got to get out rather than, oh, I can get out here. It's like a
yeah,
different tone. It's
you
a
should
different,
never feel bad about taking profit. I feel it's
no,
just
it's great. It was wonderful. Me and my wife were dancing in the front room. It was great. It was brilliant. And she was going, you actually did that? I went, yeah. She went, oh, blimey. Carry on. Not been that
oh, that's
rosy
awesome.
since, but you know, it's a wonderful experience. It really is. And of course, having the benefit of, I think the greatest benefit for me and my son was to actually get into investing during a massive bear market
Yeah.
because you're losing every day if you're just looking at it from a money point of view. But we looked at it as we were gaining every day.
How did you get in at that time?
Literally, we well, unfortunately, I through some circumstances inherited a loan of money, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know what to
Right.
do with
Okay.
it. I was, I had a great job. We wasn't desperate for anything. And I just said to my wife, well, oh God, I ain't just stick it in the bank.
Mm.
What can we do with it? Can we invest it? And that took me down a rabbit hole, and off I went. And Bitcoin come back. I say I could have got in, I think it was 12 years ago, and circumstances were totally different. I wasn't prepared to throw £1,000 into the asset. What a mug! Because I'd be doing this off a yacht now,
Yeah.
but that's irrelevant. That's hindsight again. Um, And yeah, for some reason, it might have been what Bitcoin did, or might have been Robert Breedlove's thing, just popped up on my algorithm, and I just sat
Mm.
there like, ooh. But then that took me down the gold route, the silver route, stocks and shares, and all that sort of
Okay.
stuff.
So did you basically exhaust all of those options and then come to Bitcoin at the end?
Um, that's a good question. I probably it's only now. I said to my son the other day, I said, I've done the gold journey, I've done the silver journey. Yeah, we've got a nice diversified portfolio. But it's just, I can't help it. Now I look back over those 3 years. Again, it's a stupid mentality, but I would say I wished I just stuck with Bitcoin by the beginning for it
Mm.
all.
Yeah.
But that's hindsight. And again, that I wouldn't have enjoyed and learned such a diversified, because learning about Bitcoin, gold, silver, stocks and shares, you end up forgetting about the assets and just learn about money.
Mm. Yeah.
So each portion of what I've invested in has taught me new things. So again, I don't, you know,
And if you found Bitcoin first or found Bitcoin and went straight into that, you'd have probably not learned a lesson that was needed and you'd
yeah,
fuck it up some other way.
yeah, exactly. What I've learned, I used to tell a lot of people in the gold and silver community, and I still do. If it wasn't for Bitcoin, I would never have found gold and
Mm.
what gold stood for, and the history of gold and what it
Yeah.
meant, and the soundness of it, and how it was used many years ago and how it's looked at now, and the same with silver and bits and pieces. So Bitcoin owes me a lot, really, from an educational point of view, because that
Yeah.
led me to. I'd never found the what me and my son really like. We like investing from a stock and shares point of view. We like investing in disruptive innovation.
Mm. Okay.
Any like well, Bitcoin's definitely disruptive innovation, but
Yeah.
similar type of companies that are out there trying to do the same. That's going to be
Yeah.
disrupting the norm, but innovative to provide better services for how we live.
Yeah.
And that led me to Tesla. I'm really a big Tesla fan. MicroStrategy, obviously, because that's a nice proxy. And the miners learned a lot more about mining and the whole protocol of what the blockchain is. No expert at all, but I know what I need to know
Yeah.
and continue to find out the bits that I need to know for what
Yeah.
I'm actually doing. And definitely psychologically, I'd say it to my mate who's a trader that comes on the channel quite a bit. I say to him, "Oh, I so like being in a bear market more than a yeah. I so like being in a bear market more than a bull market because emotionally it's easier to handle."
Oh, really?
Oh, 100% for me personally.
Mm.
Yeah, because I've got that mentality of all I'm going to do is gain long term at a cheaper
Yeah.
rate
Yeah. I
rather than
guess.
worrying about that because this is my first proper cycle, before if history repeats, 26 is another bear, sorry.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
this is the back end when it all's supposed to go off. Whether it does or not, I don't know. But, we're seeing signs of it and seeing narratives around that to push that. So that's making me think differently about will I want to get out? Will I not want
Yeah.
to get out? Have I got enough faith to ride another bear market, accumulate and watch? an 80% drawdown from a potential 500,000 down to whatever. How's that going to
Mm.
affect me? Is that the right thing to do? Learn more about taxes because that's important.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
strategically, it's all right saying, "Oh, I'm going to pull my profit, ride the bear market down, get back in and buy a bit more Bitcoin." Well, as soon as you pull it, bang, you're liable. You're liable for a
Yeah.
return. You know,
Yeah.
so then you have to work out mathematically, okay, if I'm going to take a 20% hit of what I'm going to pull, is it worth it? Because by the time you buy back in,
Yes.
you've got to
Yeah.
cover your 20% you've lost, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it does. Yeah.
And there's no guarantee it's going to come down 80%.
Yeah.
So you have to think
And then
about
you
all
just
the,
have less Bitcoin at the end of the day.
exactly. Yeah, but then you might have more. Who knows?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
so it's that I'm whereas in the bear it's easy. Accumulate.
Yeah. I feel
Accumulate.
like it's just when you're skimming profit, there has to be some reason for it.
Yeah.
So if it's just for expenses, if like if you don't have a stable income, you're just literally skimming off a bit so that you have something to rely on that you can spend from, or you want to buy a new house or whatever it is. That makes sense. I feel like you can rationalize that, but just selling to hold it and then buy more, I would struggle with that, I think.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And my son just says, "Dad, we're not selling anything." But
Good man.
that's cool because he's in it for 30 years,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I said to him, like, well, that's fair enough. You'll inherit everything anyway. But I'll be in a box. But I kind of want to just hopefully just get a little bit out of it somewhere along the
Yeah,
line, you
exactly.
know. And he goes,
That's
yeah, of course, you know.
yeah.
But you have to take all those things into consideration, don't you?
Mm,
You know, it's an interesting one.
yeah.
Very interesting.
We're all back in the right horse, so
Oh, 100%, without a doubt. Is there anything else that maybe could have shared in that last? The time goes quick, doesn't it?
yeah. I don't think so.
No,
No.
no, I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, me too. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. What I'm hoping to do, well, starting from next week, I don't know if you noticed on my channel, I do like a virtual down the pub thing on a Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, I saw.
Yeah, that's really cool. That is.
A
That's
drink's mandatory.
no, I've been a bit silly with drinks, but you can if you want to. But I get a bit. That's been really interesting the past couple of ones. The subjects that are coming up, and for me, it's been quite interesting because I thought, oh, will anyone come on? Well, they won't come on, but more and more people start, and it's just having like it's down the pub, talk about anything, whatever,
Yeah.
which is really great. But that made me sit there and think, okay, another decision I wanted to do this year was bring more Bitcoin because that is my, as you can probably tell, it is a passion of mine. And I thought, well, okay, let's try and do a virtual down the pub chat, Bitcoin only.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do next Wednesday. So you're
Oh, nice.
more than welcome to come on and just see how that develops. Because when I was talking to Lee,
Hmm.
or no, sorry, when I was listening to one of Lee's podcasts, there was, and quite often people talk about going to meetups. And I thought, well, there's no meetups around my way.
Yeah.
I wonder where they are. Is there any mini meetups in the UK? Probably is a few, you know. And then I sat there and I
Yeah.
thought, hold on a minute, what does just do a virtual one?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
I
why
can,
not?
I can
Yeah.
have, I think on Zoom, you can have 49 people max, you
Oh,
know.
wow.
Yeah, and just like I'm doing the other one. So I just thought, sod it, that's what I'm going to do, and just introduce it into the channel and see if it grows, see if people, because that way, like I don't even know where you are in the UK, but I'm in the west of the UK
Okay.
In Worcestershire.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Someone can be in Scotland and
Yeah.
just have a conversation like this or sit. And
Yeah.
then if it works well, I can get some people on to talk about Bitcoin. You know, if you want to come on and have a chat, or I can have a chat, or can have some whatever. You know, and
Yeah.
people
No, I
can
think it's
listen.
awesome.
You know, just share that. So
And it's
instead of
just
going to Bedford, which I
yeah.
want to go to, it's in April, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
I believe. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I'll probably meet you there, but
Yeah, I'll meet you and
um,
your son.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Me and my son will go. Yeah. Well, I've got a van, but it's not a camper van. But we've got a fishing, one of those long fishing bed things we could put in the
Oh yeah,
back. Stay there. I've got a little cooker. But it's good fun, isn't it?
that's what it's about.
Good fun. Yeah, so I'm going to start that next Wednesday. So if you want to come along, by all means, I'll send
Awesome.
you the details. And I'm just going to see how I mean, obviously, everything takes time to build up and get recognized.
Yeah,
But I just thought, sod it, yeah. And have these sort of, let people listen, just normal people. We can
yeah,
do Bitcoin as well. We're not superstars, you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
and it's probably just as valuable as anything else,
Yeah.
sharing those journeys.
I mean, interestingly, you listened to Lee's podcast, didn't you? I had quite a lot of messages actually about the. I was talking about how I put my pension into MicroStrategy, and loads of people were like, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." And so, hopefully, people have gained value from just
Exactly.
a normal
Yeah.
person like me talking about what I'm doing.
Well,
And
that's the thing is, people don't know, do they?
no, exactly.
And if times are, I think we're in for a rough time a bit, to
Oh
be
yeah,
honest.
me too.
I think we are in for a rough time, and people are going to start wanting. Oh shit! I didn't know I could take money out of my pension or
Mm,
move it, or what can I invest? Oh yeah, I can't. I can't get it into Bitcoin. Well, you can do it via a proxy. Of course you can. You can go through mining proxies. They're doing that sort of similar thing now as well,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah,
And I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some other main companies adopting that strategy as well.
yeah.
Maybe not to the, yeah. Sorry.
There's rumors that Meta might be the first.
Yes, there is. Yeah, yeah. But they said that about Microsoft, didn't they? But
True. Yeah,
yeah, but it's
could be spicy.
yeah, it could be very. I mean, it's just talking it up a little bit. I'm dead excited about the possibility. What were your thoughts on before we? Have you got enough time?
Yeah, yeah, I've got a bit longer. Yeah.
Are you sure? I was just going to quickly ask you, what about the hype around the Bitcoin strategic reserve and all that stuff? How's that grabbed you?
Yeah, I mean, after the run up after just the election,
Yeah,
I feel it's a bit flat, but I mean, if it goes through, it's it's mega. It's I don't think anyone has priced that in, as they say. It's like, oh, it's not priced in, but that cannot be priced in. If they try and buy 20% of the supply, that is, was it 20%? I think it was 20%.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, that will just be all the models will be broken, and
Sailor's
anyone
biggest
in
words,
Bitcoin will
wasn't it?
be celebrating.
Sailor's biggest words. All models will be broken.
Yeah,
And
but
it
if that
seems,
happens, I don't see how it can't.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's weird, isn't it? Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes that it's
yeah, a little
even a
bit.
possibility?
Yeah, it doesn't seem real,
Yeah.
but I don't think anyone you can't really comprehend what that would be like. But
No.
it will be, yeah, a million this cycle for sure, probably. We'll see.
Weird. Yeah, definitely. It is funny. And getting back to comprehending, when I started to understand that there was a thing called a trillion and what a trillion was, and it
Yeah,
existed, and there's 900 trillion and the rest floating around in all sorts of products out there. That blew my mind. And that
yeah.
really put into context that when you look at market caps of a young asset, anything's possible.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely anything's possible. And I don't roll my eyes when I listen to people talk about millions per Bitcoin. I've, I, it, I do roll my eyes sometimes and think, oh, here we go. We're pricing it against fiat currency again.
yeah,
But it's reality, isn't it? It's reality
yeah.
at the end of the day. But
But
it does help me understand the possibility.
it's when you're talking to people that aren't in it. It's like, well, What price do you think it's going to get to? Well, what I say is it's going to a million and further. It's going to go up forever because it can't not. But if you're pricing it in fiat, as you say, but
It's interesting,
yeah.
very interesting. Right, dude, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you?
So I'm on X, Alex Glass, and
Found
I'm
you on
on
X. I found you on X.
yes, I'm on YouTube at Alex Glass as well, and I am on Coin Corner's YouTube channel, hosting Bitcoin news once a week for them.
You're
So it's
on
a five
Coinco.
minute five
Oh,
minute news video once a week.
okay.
So if you're trying to stay up to date with Bitcoin but you don't have the time, it's a nicely packaged 5 minute video. So
Yeah,
hopefully
cool.
it'll add some value,
I need
save people some
to.
time.
Yeah, brilliant. I need to. I'll put up. I mean, I'll put all your information on in the description anyway. But I need to understand a little bit more about Coin Corner. They're based in the Isle of Man, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I've opened an account with them, funny enough. The one thing I hate about all these accounts is all the fucking KYC you have to do. But
Yes.
I found theirs quite reasonable, to be fair, compared to others.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I understand that the KYC is just they all have to do it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
So it's not, yeah, it's just irritating.
yeah, it is.
But
Yeah,
yeah, they're a Bitcoin only exchange in the Isle of Man.
but they seem to be. They've got like it's like in a proper account, isn't it?
Mm, yeah.
Like so you can have a proper savings. Is it all? I don't know.
Um,
Do I need to do a bit more research?
they have some quite good on and off ramps if your banks are,
Oh, right. Okay.
if you say with NatWest or something and they're like,
Yeah.
oh no, you can't deposit money into
Yeah.
a crypto exchange.
Yeah.
They have clever e-banks where you can get your money in and out.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, yeah,
I'll have to have a look.
good platform.
You'll have to have a chat about it.
I probably can't promote them. That's probably breaking some financial conduct authority rules or something. But
Okay,
there's a
you
whole
can't
load of
have a
stuff
chat
these
about it
days.
then. I'll have to. I'm being lazy. I'll have to do my research after preaching that it's so important. Well, I might get a bit of inside info. Are you enjoying that with Coin
Yeah,
Corner?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Oh, we've any
they're a
luck?
great company.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos because in on is it true on the Isle of Man they've got quite a few shops now where you can exchange Bitcoin.
Yes, yeah, it's like
I
a little
think
hub
yes, I'm
because I
sure I've
think
seen.
it's because they have no capital gains tax, so you can spend it as a currency and there's no tax implications.
Might move to the Isle of Man,
Yeah,
but I think that's probably easier said than done.
apparently it's quite wet.
Oh, I'd suffer that. Alex, it's been a real pleasure, mate. Hang on while I just stop this and have a quick chat afterwards. Thank you very much. Do you want to say anything else?
No, no, just thanks for
Cool.
having me.
It's been a real pleasure. It's really cool to have a conversation where you just feel like you've known that person forever. So
Yeah,
it's really cool. Thank you.
absolutely.
Hopefully we can have you back on again.
Yeah, would love to.
Take good care.
Cool. Thanks.
See you later.